In a world where carbs are your enemy, you need one man to help you fight your battles. That man is Jimmy.
Combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live. And we're here with another episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. You'll see that we start off over on Instagram. So go follow me on Instagram at Living Low Carb Man. That's LIVINLOWCARBMEN. Once you're there, you can engage live just like all these beautiful people are doing right now. And we'll talk to them here in a minute. You can also catch the replay on Instagram for up to 24 hours. They put it up on Instagram and leave it there for 24 hours. And then it does disappear after 24 hours, but we pick them up from there, throw them all onto YouTube. So if you've missed any of the past Jimmy Rants episodes, go over on YouTube, type in a keyword Jimmy Rants, you will find the show. And then finally, we have a podcast for this show, the Jimmy Rants podcast over on Apple Podcasts. JimmyRants.com is the website. Today's Jimmy Rants is one that is long overdue because one of the trends that I am seeing happening in the ketogenic community is a disturbing one. And it goes something like this. So I can do keto and I can just make sure that my macronutrient ratios are all where they need to be. It doesn't really matter what kind of food that I'm consuming. It doesn't really matter what I put in my mouth as long as it fits my ratios. Okay. We're going to have fun with this one today. So this one is all about the as long as it fits your macros crowd. If that's you, you're giving keto a bad name. And there's no other way to put it than that. Because people think they're eating macronutrients. And you are. But at the end of the day, you're eating food. You're eating real, whole foods that nourish your body. And the food that you're consuming, yes, has carbohydrates, which is a macronutrient, protein, which is a macronutrient, and fat, which is a macronutrient. But is that all food is comprised of, is the macronutrients? No. There are all kinds of really good things that are in the foods that we eat. These things that we call micronutrition, vitamins and minerals, and key ingredients in a healthy lifestyle. So I think sometimes when we hear the, as long as it fits my macros, it leads people down a dangerous path of, well, I can throw in there 10 M&Ms because I have the carbohydrate budget to put that in there. So 10 M&Ms become a part of my fitting my macros. I had somebody write me an Instagram message just yesterday that wanted to know, a brother-in-law wanted to know if eating beans could, quote, fit his macro. I can fit them in my macros. Let me have some beans. I want some beans. And it misses the point. Because at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is tell your body, look, we're no longer feeding you as a sugar burner. We're feeding you as a fat burner. And so if you're never truly allowing your body to experience fat burning mode that would produce ketones, then how do you know what you're doing is working? Yeah, you can fit it arbitrarily into a, let's say you make your carbohydrate intake 10% of your calories. You could arbitrarily say, okay, in that 30 or 40-ish calories, I'm going to include M&Ms, beans, whatever. But how do you know what that's doing to your body outside of the macronutrient ratio? How do you know it's not impacting your blood sugar? How do you know it's not impacting inflammation levels? How do you know what it's doing if all you're focused on is the macros? So if you're just joining us, we're talking about this whole concept of as long as it fits your macros, because there is a movement out there of people that, well, I'm going to eat keto, and as long as it fits my macros, doesn't matter what I eat, it fits my macros. Can I just say that needs to stop? That just needs to absolutely come to an end, because it's not doing people any good. And it's this kind of thing, you guys, that will probably lead to the demise of keto if it's allowed to take a foothold, which is why I'm talking about it here today on Jimmy Rants. Because my philosophy is, if you're going to eat a well-formulated, low-carb, moderate protein, high-fat ketogenic diet, then it needs to be filled with foods that will nourish you. And we've talked about this before on previous Jimmy Rants, about nourishment being so much more than the macronutrient ratios. It's about the quality of the food you put in your mouth. Again, people are like, well, I can't afford to buy the best of the best, grass-fed, panda massaged, organic, blah, blah, blah. That's cool and all. It's all good. But make that your goal. Make it your goal to get the best quality foods that you can, and not just look at food as macronutrients. It's very easy to do that. I get it. I get people like counting things. Oh, and eating is not a math equation. It's not. Eating should be about nourishing your body with good food. And so if you're feeding your body that good food, it's going to reward you, not because you had your macros in order, but because you fed it the basic things that it needs to survive and thrive. And if you do those things, this whole, as long as it fits in your macros, becomes irrelevant, because it's not about the macros anymore. It's about the foods that you're putting in your body that are, and what that is doing for your body. So if you believe that whole concept of as long as it fits your macros, that's got to stop. It's got to stop right now. And here's the other thing. How freeing is it once you get out of that bondage? And I'm using that word specifically. It's bondage. It's chains. It's a noose around your neck to have to constantly be looking at, oh, I'm only at 65% of my fat. I got to add in a fat bomb to get to my 75% goal. And how stupid is that? Really? That's where we are in nutrition? So hopefully, if you believe that right now, I'm giving you something at least to think about as you move forward on your keto journey. All right, let's see what you guys have to say. Welcome in, welcome in. Good morning, Joshua. Hello, hello, you guys. Keto Stephalophagus says, Dr. Barry was saying this last night too. Anisha, it drives me crazy. Yeah, it can. It sure can. Southern and Keto, the government shutdown's keeping me very strict on my keto. No keto treats. For me, I kind of like it, but I want my paycheck. Well, that's a whole nother issue we're not going to talk about here today, but I do wish you well moving forward. Let's see here. Welcome in, welcome in. I love this topic, says Grandma Does Keto. And it's one of those topics that people get hung up on. Well, if it's just about the macronutrient ratios, I'm doing my 75-25, and so as long as I fit it within those things, food quality be damned. And I think that's an incredibly slippery slope that if you allow yourself to go down, you can see failure coming in the very near future. I even have to unfollow people who post a lot of, if it fits your macros, junk food, because it's not my path, not against their choices, just not what I wish to see. And see, here's the thing. All of those people that say, if it fits my macros, what happens when they start hitting a snag? Where do they go in their head? Who do they kind of look to try to figure things out? And they go to the people that are now a little more strict about their keto. And when I say strict, a lot of people have a negative connotation of strict keto. When I say strict, I mean doing it the right way. Because let's be honest, if you do it with the little slippery slope of, well, if it fits my macros, let me have this little thing over here and this little thing over there, you know that that's not optimal. So if you already know it's not optimal, why are you choosing to do that? Some people want the easy way, I suppose. That's probably the honest answer. Food quality matters, says my friend Lauren. Thanks for chiming in, Keto Coach Lauren. And it does. It does on so many levels, much more so than the macros. it really made me upset the first time I heard a very famous ketogenic doctor talk about how he tells his patients, just go to McDonald's and get a burger without the bun and get their salad and whatever salad dressing that has soybean oil or whatever in it. He said, that's fine because it fits their macros. And I'm going, please, please, please tell them. Okay, to start, to get off the crap, sure. But the goal is real food. Because if they never hear it from their doctor who is helping them try to understand this keto thing, if they never hear the message of you need to try to be finding and embracing real whole foods, then guess what they're going to do? A year after starting keto, they're still going to be going to McDonald's and throwing away the bun. Now, the monkey wrench in all of this is you will see weight loss from that. You will likely see improvements in health markers from that. So people are like, oh, do you discount that? No, I don't discount that. But what I want to say is, okay, 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, don't you want to go from just making a simple change to it fits your macros to make changes happen to becoming optimal? That's one of the things that I've found doing this for an extremely long time now, 15 years plus now that I've been eating this way. One of the things that I've learned through my own journey is you're constantly adding information to the arsenal. And the new information that you learn, you then apply, and then you apply, and then you apply. And for me, it started off low carb, thanks to the Atkins diet. Then from there, I started, okay, let's tighten it up a little bit. Let's add in the element of real food. So I added that in. So then let's tighten it up a little more and let's look at what that food is doing to me. So then I started tinkering with ketogenic and played around a little bit with the macros, but it still was based on real whole foods that nourish the body, but it changed the percentages of fats, proteins, and carbs. But I didn't obsess about it. I did for a whole year do an experiment, but that was just to show people what I was doing. And then from there, it became more, all right, get intuitive about it. Listen to your body signals. So as you can see, you continue to add knowledge to all of the things that you're doing. And the moment you stop adding to your knowledge is the moment you probably get stagnant in your health journey. So what I want to encourage you with today is know that food quality matters. And we're trying to give you a little peek into the future, because eventually everybody gets to this point. They get to the point where they realize, oh, duh, real whole foods nourish the body. Should have been doing this all along. I wish I had done it from the very start with the Atkins diet. Well, you wouldn't have stayed with it. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would. If it would have tasted delicious, like the foods I can make in the kitchen now, you bet your sweet bippy I would have done it. But I had nobody telling me that that was the goal. I'm telling you now, it's the goal. Move towards food quality, get away from this whole as long as it fits my macros mentality, because that's a recipe for disaster. Macros cause anxiety, says Anita Gail Miller. This is a perfect topic. Yeah, people, they want to make it a math equation, Anita, and that's the thing that gets me the most. Our bodies are not meant to be a math equation. It is a scientific experiment, metabolically, trying to figure out, what tolerance you have to carbohydrates, what your threshold is with protein, and how much fat, and listening to your body for satiety. All of that is science. But I don't want to be sitting there going, okay, I'm only at 67% on fat and I'm trying to reach 75, so let me just pop sticks of butter to get that there. No, that makes no sense at all. Grandma Does Keto really want to see this be called a real food ketogenic diet and stop the total versus net carb madness. Yeah, it's one reason we wrote Real Food Keto, is we wanted to start that discussion down this road. And truth be told, Real Food Keto has not done as well as some of my other books. And I think there's people that are in denial about what role real food should play in their ketogenic diet. Why? Because they still want their keto chips, keto cookies, keto this, keto that. Just being blunt here today, guys. This is Jimmy Rants. We don't hold back on the opinions. And I think that's probably what holds a lot of people back from seeing the full kind of success that they're looking for on their keto journey. I tracked for the month of July, and the meal math was foolish. I eat and fast intuitively. And Steph, you're there. You reached it. You got to the point where you realize how this works for you. Why would anyone eat just 10 M&Ms? Eat keto or don't, Joshua says. Yeah, I've actually seen that. People are like, well, I can get 10 M&Ms and that I can fit that in my carbohydrate count for the day. And I'm like, yeah, you can, but why would you? It's not like those 10 M&Ms won't be impacting your blood sugar, because they will. Won't be impacting your insulin levels, because they will. It's kind of silly when you stop and think about it. Beautiful binge eater. Hey, how are you? I feel the macros people are primarily only concerned about weight loss and not about their total health. Ding, 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 ding. You got it. And to succeed on keto, that doesn't work. A sugar addict can't pop just 5 M&Ms and just go on. Eventually there will be a binge. And you know all about that. You've overcome that in your life thanks to doing a well-formulated, real foods-based ketogenic diet. And you're right. I mean, if it fits your macros as well, I'm losing weight, so therefore that's all that matters. And if that's you, okay, great. If that's your goal, but weight loss is temporal, health gain is forever. I'll take the latter. Thank you very much. Fit your macros or your health goals. Yeah, Kitty Caddick, you know it. Because the fit your macros has very little to do with health. Yes, you could get healthier than a standard American diet doing the whole it fits your macros, but at some point, that's going to stop working, especially when the weight loss might slow. And the weight loss might slow because you're not getting the micronutrition that your body needs to thrive, which if you focused on real whole foods as the basis of your ketogenic diet, you wouldn't run into that problem because you're going to be getting adequate vitamins and minerals. My low-carb path, Kat. Hey, Kat. I see people give up on keto because of this. Exactly, Kat. I said earlier, this will be the demise of keto if this gets a foothold in the community. And I won't allow it. I'm going to call them out on it every single time. They get so crazy trying to make their daily eating fit into a macronutrient matrix, and it gets so overwhelming that they just end up quitting keto altogether. I think you make it too hard. When your keto is predicated on a calculator, no, that's not the way to do keto. Getting to the point where you can do keto intuitively, listening to your body, allowing your body to have periods of intermittent fasting, which yesterday, by the way, you guys, 29 hours I fasted. Easy. I did a whole book signing over 24 hours into a fast. I was at a book signing, fully energetic, fully in there mentally. In fact, I would dare say I was sharper because of the fasting period. Yeah, so it's pretty amazing. Always keep learning, says Rescue Gal. Yep. And doesn't just apply to diet. Yeah. Well, that's true in pretty much any aspect of life. But with what I talk about, never stop learning. It's just like you and Christine talked about yesterday about gut health. If you put bad food in, you stay sick on the inside. Yeah. Yeah, those little gut bugs, those little bad ones that want to wreak havoc in your health, feed them 10 M&Ms and see how they go. Yeah, they won't go well. Kitty Caddick, looking at food as a fuel is a game changer. You won't put gas in your Tesla. Like us ketoers have alternative and much healthier types of fuel. Yeah, we're the best hybrid machine that you'll ever see, because we can be fueled by sugar and we can be fueled by fat and ketones. We choose the more efficient way by doing the fat and ketones, and your body responds accordingly. And yet everybody likes to guzzle the gas. They're driving around in SUVs with their bodies, guzzling up gas like there's no tomorrow, eating sugar and carbs that turn to sugar. I'd rather have a long-lasting, sustainable way of fueling this machine, this car, And that's what fat and ketones do. In the beginning, Splenda fit my macros. I had keto wins. Almost a year later, it stalled me. My body screams for real ingredients. Splenda has dextrose in it. Didn't know that before. Yeah, Keto Neogenesis has maltodextrin, which is sugar. At the book signing yesterday, I was mentioning that, you know, a lot of these sweeteners have bulking agents, and the bulking agent is called maltodextrin. What's maltodextrin? It's freaking sugar. So the sugar substitute has sugar in it so that it bulks up for you to put it in your food so you have less sugar. It did make sense. I'm an engineer. I can tell you that they are applying the laws of thermodynamics so wrong to our bodies. Alberto, you're right. And the other thing about macronutrient ratios, and if it fits your macros, the other thing is it's predicated on a specific calorie count. So I'm currently doing this carnivore experiment, keto carnivore experiment, and some days I'll get calories that are 1,600 calories. Other days around 2,200 calories. One day I got 3,200 calories the other day. I'm not counting calories. I'm just letting my body tell me how much and when to eat. That's it. And so if I had an arbitrary calorie count, 2,300 calories or whatever, then I would be forcing my body to be stuck at that calorie count, counting macronutrient ratios. And that's not the way the body works. I think the body can thrive having a few higher calorie days, a few lower calorie, not suboptimal lower calorie, but lower than you typically would days, and then days where you fall into the median. I think that's the way the body's supposed to work. If it fits your macros is nothing more than the Weight Watchers mentality, says M. Norman 62. Yeah, it is dieting. To me, that's the biggest thing about it that makes me mad, is people still fall into the dieting mode. I want people out of dieting mode and into living mode and into living optimally mode and being free from all those rules and regulations that you've seen with every other diet you've ever been on before. Yes, it's low carb, high fat, ketogenic, but man, how much emotional and intellectual energy do you have to expend when you're sitting there counting macronutrient ratios all day? When you look for, well, it fits my macros shortcut, you're not dedicated to a macronutrient diet. It's a gateway for disaster. Keto is about balance, and fitting in cheats isn't your balance, says the permanently exhausted pigeon. It does allow for that. And there's nothing wrong if you choose to get off plan. There's nothing wrong with that. But for people to budget it into their macronutrient ratios, you're fooling yourself. You're fooling yourself if you think you can do that on the regular and not have negative consequences come. Nacy Bakhali says, I'm 5'2", 63.7 kilo, 36.7 body fat. I want to lose 10 kilo. What should my fat to protein ratio be? How much protein and fat should I consume for fat loss? The honest answer is nobody knows, because you're an individual. You are a bio-individual. So one of the things that I put in my book, Keto Clarity, to help you with this is you've got to find your carb tolerance level and count total carbs to start. So find out what your body does and reacts blood sugar wise to the carbohydrates that you do consume. Same with protein. You want to see the threshold by which you can consume protein. And I can tell you from my experience doing this keto carnivore, when you cut the carbs completely out, you can actually have a little more protein than you typically would on a ketogenic lifestyle. And still be in ketosis and still have fat burning take place. So I'm not saying you have to do carnivore, but I'm saying if you choose to eat carbs, know you're going to moderate your protein a little more than if you cut carbs completely out, add in a little more protein, but make sure fat is the preponderance of what you're consuming. And so how much of that, you've got to listen to your body, and your body is a very well-oiled machine, sophisticated enough to tell you and give you signals. How you listen to those signals will determine your success or failure on keto. Stick around on Jimmy Rants. We talk about a lot of this stuff pretty darn often, but thanks for your question. And please don't fall into the trap of just as long as it fits your macros. Stick with real whole foods that will nourish your body. Gentle reminder for Happy Healthy Heather and others that have general questions about keto. This is a show called Jimmy Rants, so we stick to the topic that is pinned below. So if you're not talking about as long as it fits your macros, that needs to stop. If you're on keto, send me those questions in a private message, or you can email me livinglowcarbman@charter.net. Alrighty. Love your honesty. Very refreshing. Thanks, M. Norman62. This is a lifestyle. I'm a former Weight Watchers girl, so breaking away from counting has been awesome. I bet it's freeing. My mama went through, what was it, Weight Watchers, and then she had this, what was that group? TOPS, Take Off Pounds Sensibly, which was the stupidest thing in the world. It sounds all good, but it was horrible. Because all it was predicated on the calorie hypothesis, and she was still counting. But letting go of the counting and listening to your body is such a freeing thing for so many people, and I'm really glad that you found that. I want to try carnivore eventually. We'll do it, Modern Keto family. There's no stopping you. I've had tremendous success with it, and we'll be sharing a lot more about that really soon. But yeah, go for it if you're curious. Susan Rapp, I think you can still use macros as a guide if you're eating whole foods. Testing my glucose and ketones lets me know my carb tolerance. Yeah, you can use it as a guide, but I think where it crosses the line, Susan, is when people obsess about it to the point that it paralyzes them, that they only got 67% of their fat in today. And don't do that to yourself. That's dieting mentality. That's what makes people it makes them break. Let's just be honest. And if you break, you're like, oh my God, that keto thing was horrible because I couldn't keep up with the macronutrient ratios. Don't do that to yourself. Those cheats they work into their macros is still keeping them addicted to the sugar, says Kat. Yeah, they will not have long-term success on keto. No, they will not. Are you going to wait until the end of your challenge to share weight loss, says Keto Fasting. So I am tracking the weight loss, but this is just a quick little aside because we are sticking with the topic here. But since you asked, I am tracking my weight loss on my keto carnivore experiment, but I'm really hesitant to share. It's very obvious. Those of you that watch me daily, you've talked about how you can tell I'm thinner in the face. Trust me, I'm losing a lot of weight. But I'm hesitant to share that because people will then zero in on, oh, well, carnivore, all about weight loss. I don't want that to be the message. And so we'll see. But it's going to be very obvious that if good things are happening metabolically for me, that weight loss will be the side effect that happens from that. All right, guys. So the bottom line in this Jimmy Rants is if you believe that it's all about the macros, and as long as the foods you are eating on your ketogenic lifestyle fit within your macros, can you please stop that? Because you're not helping the keto message. You're not furthering and helping people that are coming into this new. You're not helping them understand the whole purpose of what a well-formulated ketogenic diet is all about. So as long as it fits your macros, needs to stop if you're going to be on keto. That's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website as always. Head on over there and you'll see how we work. We start off on Instagram. We try to do a couple of lives every day, sometimes one, sometimes three, but at least we do come on every single day. So go follow me there on Instagram at livinglowcarbman, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. And once you're there, you can engage live just like all these awesome people did here today. And if you missed the live, you can watch the replay for up to 24 hours. Then we pop it on over to YouTube because it does disappear from Instagram. So go look up Jimmy Rants on YouTube. Over 150 episodes and counting. And then finally, we have a Jimmy Rants podcast over on Apple Podcasts, which has the best of the best snippets and moments from this here show, JimmyRants.com. So until next time, we'll see you then.